Hello, mic testing. Respected council, esteemed guests, and dear ICAP members, Assalamu alaikum. We welcome you all to seminar on how to thrive in an information age. Thank you for joining us in person from Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, and those who are joining us from Zoom. Thank you for very much for connecting us from Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Nigeria. And special thanks to our distinguished guests from Canada and USA. Ladies and gentlemen, this event is an initiative of Digital Assurance and Accounting Board of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan. I'm your host for today's event. My name is Amara Gondal. I am Secretary of Northern Regional Committee of ICAP and currently working as Chief Executive in Bream Rice, a JV of international groups in Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, you are requested to observe silence as we are commencing our program in the name of Allah, the most merciful and beneficent.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام والحب ذو العصف والريحان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار وخلق الجان من مارج من نار فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان.
Jazakallah. You are requested to please rise for the national anthem.
Is
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are living in an era where disruptive technologies have already taken charge of consumer behaviors, ways of doing businesses, while global convergence is rapidly taking shape. In this dynamism, we, the finance professionals, really need to understand and learn the digital trends that are impacting businesses and finance. How to manage huge size of data for an effective decision making, and upskilling ourselves with the audit transformation. Today's event is in continuation of series of events imparting such knowledge that Digital Assurance and Accounting Board has been arranging so far. Today, we have lined up professionals in leadership role who are going to speak on the topic today. Dear members, this is going to be a very interactive and interesting session. By the end of the event today, we are going to hold a test knowledge session where you will be tested for information MCQ based. A Slido or the link will be displayed here on the screens, and you will have to answer all those MCQs, and you will have the opportunity to win gift hampers that will be awarded to top 3 winners of the session today, who will answer most of the right questions in the shortest possible time. And we are going to award a certificate of knowledge for those who will be winning by securing marks 50% and above. And rest assured, even if you fail, so you will be awarded a certificate of participation in any case. So keep your eyes, minds all present so that you may get that chance to win gift hampers today. And that obviously from ICAP, you know, this is an opportunity that comes once in a while. So with that happy note, so let's begin our program with the welcome address. And to do the honors, may I please request the main brain behind this event, Ms. Khurshid Kotwal. She is chairperson of DAP and currently council member of ICAP. Ms. Khurshid Kotwal is double qualified as a fellow chartered accountant and fellow corporate secretary. She is a certified director, the chairperson of the risk committee and board of Pakistan Microfinance Network. She is the founder of a management consultancy, Asman International, and serves as chief executive that she started in 2010. She has also worked in Unilever for 10 years in leading positions as the first female corporate finance director, chief auditor, corporate controller, treasurer, information security officer, and whatnot and whatnot. So please, ladies and gentlemen, give a huge round of applause for Mr. Khurshid Kotwal to come on stage from Karachi.
Hello. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Amara. And welcome to our chief guest, Mr. Asfar Ehsan, our keynote speaker, Mr. Dured Qureshi, council members of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan, SRC members, NRC members, our guests joining from Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, and overseas from Canada, USA, Saudi Arabia, UAE. A very warm welcome to all of you. We from the Digital Board are pleased to bring to you yet another program on how to thrive in an information age. And what does that mean? It means to me that we are in an age where information needs to be available instantaneously. Today, data is available from a number of multiple sources, and it's not just enough that our ERP data is used for decision making. So whether it is retail data or whether it is data from other external sources, from our customers, our clients, our distributors, all the data can be used to tell stories, to predict the future. And this is what professionals are expected. So the digital board feels that it's very important to gain knowledge on data analytics. We have built in a data analytics program since last year, and now we will be starting the next cohort in July, on July 15th. Like, we'd urge all of you all, because this is not, data analytics is something that is useful for everybody. And whilst these programs may be very good for finance professionals, because they will be learning computer programming skills, as well as learn how to do data modeling, data visualization, and how to present data in a more meaningful manner. And the difference between IT and the finance professional, the lines are becoming closer and closer. Like in the UK, for instance, any graduate who applies, they are asked this question whether you know Python or not. So it doesn't matter whether you are a marketing professional or a sales professional or a finance professional. So the world is moving towards that direction. And we need to, as finance professionals and as business professionals, we need to gear ourselves. We need to learn new set of skills, because the speed at which the innovations are happening, businesses will be left behind. So digital transformation has become an imperative for the businesses. And the companies that have not modernized their processes, not integrated cloud and analytics capabilities, will be severely disadvantaged. Of course, artificial intelligence, etc., is really going to also, and repetitive processing automation will be eliminating a lot of jobs soon as well. So a lot of upskilling and a lot of changes happening. And the digital transformation is actually a journey. So, businesses need to evolve, they need to change their processes as per the need. And it's like no set formula. Every business will have to evolve themselves based on their need. And therefore, each company will have to tailor according to their needs. So I would urge everyone that what you all should be doing is conducting a digital audit, preparing a digital roadmap for your companies, investing in the right technology, and adopting an agile mindset, and embrace digital culture. So basically, we at the digital board are trying to impart knowledge. We are also building some other programs as well to try and enhance knowledge building in Pakistan and around the world for our members. With that, I would like to thank everybody for participating in today's event. We have an exciting program ahead, and I'm looking forward to the program and the panel discussions and our eminent speakers. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Khurshid, for your kind words. Ladies and gentlemen, now we have our guest of honor of today's event, who is going to enlighten us as to how to thrive in an information age and how this is evolving in Pakistan particularly. This is my absolute pleasure to introduce our guest of honor, Mr. Asfar Ehsan, who is joining us online, founder and CEO, Nutshell and Corporate Pakistan Groups, that deals with providing platform to national intelligentsia and providing strategic solutions to organizations respectively. Muhammad Asfar Ehsan is a global influencer, business connector, change activist, philanthropist, political analyst, and entrepreneur based out of Pakistan. During his tenure, he has served as Minister of State and Chairman of Board of Investments, Government of Pakistan, and took 125 regulatory reforms. He remained board member of various committees and councils at government and semi-government level. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause for Mr. Asfar.
Thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, I'm grateful to Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan for inviting me here. And unfortunately, because of my high fever, I'm unable to join physically. I plan to join from Islamabad office, but I'm grateful to Ms. Khurshid Kotwal and all the organizing committee members. My association with Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan is very old, since last almost 20 years. I'm also working with ICAP in different capacities. I was part of several international conferences of Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan, in addition to their SAFA conferences, the South Asian Federation of Accountants conferences. And we always engage ICAP in different national dialogues and different policy roundtables. So first of all, I want to share that information technology is not my area of expertise, but actually I worked with many technology companies, and as the chairman board of investment especially, I facilitated the overall ecosystem. And I strongly believe that in this digital age, this is a golden opportunity for Pakistan to thrive and to utilize the benefits of this domain. Pakistan's population today is 230 million, and out of 230 million, around 60% population is under 32 years of age, and around 130 million plus Pakistanis are mobile phone customers, mobile phone users. So this is a huge, huge number. And by 2049, our population size will be around 380 million plus, and out of 65% population will be under 30 years of age. So keeping in view this number, this is a huge, huge opportunity for Pakistan. And this is up to us that how to utilize and how to make efforts to tap this potential. Pakistan's software exports today are around $3 billion, while our neighboring country, India, crossed $150 billion of IT exports. So this is a huge area where government is also focusing. And in last many years, in the previous government and before the previous government, I am witnessing that every government is focusing and the industry is collaborating with the public sector to utilize this opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, I also feel that we are geared towards thriving in this industry. The very word thriving makes me immensely happy, because it is way above the status of striving, and gives me the faith that we as Pakistanis are following the right trajectory. Secondly, it carries the undertone of relevance, which I feel is the key word today. A lot is going well. Since May 2021, Pakistan has been added to the list of sellers by Amazon. At the start of 22, Pakistan's internet penetration stood at 36.5%, which is on almost 36% jump from 2021. Our IT sector is worth a good $3.5 billion today. It's straight double in the last 4 years, and is expected to grow another 100% in the next phase, coming up to $7 billion. This would mean a significant contribution to our GDP in the next 4 years. This is fast growth, no doubt, but the game is faster, and no telling that we may be adding as after the predicted 7, given the perfect circumstances. There are 1,500 registered IT firms in uh, in Pakistan today, and around 10,000 graduates joining the field each year, which is a very less number actually. In India, there is a production of 800,000 IT graduates per year, and this is a huge number. So when I was part of the government and we attended many meetings, so there is a huge shortage of skilled professional in the IT industry in different domains. So on a lighter but equally substantial note, our production houses for entertainments and news have occupied a huge space on digital screens and television. As we knew, it is going under a renaissance for the lack of a more modern word. So a lot going well and so much can be achieved. For example, in last few months, we hosted several meetings with IIT startups and many other startups. So total investment in 2021 was, I remember, $376 million. And this is just the beginning. And the VCs are investing in Pakistan. Many startups actually failed also, but this is part of the system. Overall, the ecosystem is generating, and many good case studies is the need of the hour. And this is now the responsibility of all concerned stakeholders, including the government, to facilitate this industry, this area, because this startup culture is real, and this startup, the VCs globally are looking towards Pakistan. And this is up to us that how we can facilitate all these startups and all these VCs in Pakistan. So talking of relevance as Pakistani, as global citizen, none of us are now disconnected from the digital age, because so much of who we are is now virtual. Our correspondence, calls, connections, social interaction, shopping, etc., everything is online. The fintech industry is gradually expanding because of the population size and because of the mobile phone customers who are 130 million plus, and this number is increasing. So I strongly believe that the digital world is no longer passive. It is not only active but aggressive too. From Google and Amazon, or Apple and Microsoft, or Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or Clubhouse or Slack or Substack or YouTube, Twitch, Triller, Twitter, and yes, TikTok. So the list is increasing on daily basis. And my personal belief is that continuation of policies for any government, for any industry, is the actual need of the hour. And when I served as the chairman board of investment, so we were dealing with dozens of investors, whether local investors or the foreign investors. And the biggest pain point we observed for any new investor, especially the multinational companies or the foreign companies, as well as the manufacturing sector in Pakistan, is the continuation of policies, because every 6 months, the FBR is changing policies and all. So what we focused initially when I talked to the Prime Minister, that we should focus almost 80%, 90% on the existing investors. And this is a huge chunk, including the local investors as well as the foreign investor. One is the crowd of MNCs who are the members of OICCI, Overseas Investor Chamber of Commerce. And there are dozens and dozens of investors, small investors who are investing in Pakistan. The VCs are coming. I personally hosted dozens of tech investors in Pakistan. Somehow COVID happened, COVID started, and few of my friends invested in different startups as well. So recently one company started with the funding of Public Investment Fund, Saudi Arabia. And this game is Uniphonic. They started 2 years back, but now they are expanding their operations. And the SoftBank is also investor behind the Uniphonic. The SoftBank size is $150 billion fund, and they are investing 100 to 1.5 billion dollar every month, and they are focusing in Middle East. So what we discussed with them, they are looking and they are working for few good case studies from Pakistan. So Uniphonic is one of them. Now they are focusing on few other investments. So what is my experience in the government? That the potential is huge. The systematic problems are the biggest hurdles. And I observed that the last government, and in fact that the current government, they are trying their best to focus on resolving these conflicts, these barriers. And with the passage of time, I'm optimistic that we will achieve, we will be in the right direction. We are already in the right direction. What is the need is the collaboration amongst the public sector and the private sector. Secondly, when you are talking about the information age, digital is important, technology, different domains, but ICAP, for example, is an academic institute. For me, Pakistan's biggest threat is not India, not Israel, not anyone else. Pakistan's biggest threat is actually 25 million kids out of the school. 25 million, 2 crore 50 lakh. This is a huge number. And for me, this is the biggest threat, because if we will fail to train them, we will fail to educate them, this will be a real alarming situation for all of us after 10 years. So this is again the responsibility of the state and the responsible civil society, responsible organization to educate them and to provide them the training skills. So this huge number of youth bulge, this is a huge youth bulge. If we train them, so for the information industry, the technology industry, the Pakistan's potential is again huge. So these are my few opening comments, and I'm available here for the question answer. And I'm again feel sorry that I'm not at the venue physically, despite all my efforts, but I did the COVID testing today, and this was not responsible behavior that I would join physically. So I send my regrets to Khurshid Kotobal, and I'm grateful to her to that she understand. And my best regards to all the ICAP members, all the ICAP students. And I strongly believe that ICAP is an institution who is actually playing a commendable role for policy formation and to educate the youth. And especially on the digital side, on the technology side, if you can play an effective role, I think this will be very beneficial for the state of Pakistan. Thank you very much.
Sir, and we wish you a speed recovery. And we are really hopeful that after 10 years, Pakistan would be able to capitalize of this potential at fullness and pace up with the world. Thank you very much. Coming up next is the keynote speech on the topic of the need and importance of digital media analytics and what role finance professionals can play. For the keynote speech, we are honored to have Mr. Duraid Qureshi with us, CEO and co-founder Hum Network Limited. Mr. Duraid is a diversified experience in treasury, sugar industry, and then he did wonders in the media industry. In a small span of time, he turned Mumil Production as one of the largest production house of Pakistan. Then he launched Hum TV, operating with 4 channels. He has been awarded Best CEO Awards in Media Sector consecutively 2012, 2013, and 14. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Mr. Duraid Qureshi on stage, joining us from Karachi.
Hello. Assalamu alaikum. I would like to thank ICAP, President Ashfaq Tola, council members, Rashid Kotwal, and all the participants who have joined today to hear the need and importance of digital media analytics and what role finance people, professionals can play. It is very interesting that today a chartered accountant, which was a profession known to just compute the numbers of the company, are playing a very active role in the management and development of our companies. I remember a long time ago, a friend of mine who said that I'm going to be a chartered accountant. To me, the word accountant was not very interesting. But I am proud to say that Hum has been fortunate to hire one of the best chartered accountants in Pakistan. And we had, at least in a small company at one time, 5 chartered accountants, and then even today we have 4 of them working in key management position other than just CFO or finance positions. And they have played a critical role. And today when I look at them and we take work from them, they're good with numbers. And today they can easily understand not just what the brand health of the company is in terms of numbers and finances, but also how to compute those numbers when it comes to consumer behavior. And just yesterday, one of our senior person who used to be a CFO, he said, I'm taking over IT. I said, why do you want to take over IT? He said, we are not doing a good job, So it's great to see how ICAP and chartered accountants have transformed over the years. And so I just want to add some of the things, what they can and how they can use data analytics in this digital world, and how they can reform their thinking process, especially the CFOs who are in the leading position of the development of the company. On today's presentation, I will talk about nature of media after the digital revolution, changes in analytics after digital revolution, and changing role of financial professionals. In 2006, oh, I have to change it also, sorry. In 2006, Anderson also wrote a book titled The Long Tail: Why the Future of Business is Selling Less of More. If you look today at YouTube, iTunes, Netflix, what are they doing? They are putting so much content up there that it fulfills the need of someone. So instead of having 1 or 2 super content, which everybody would like to, or many people would like to see, they've increased the product line to such a level that you see it is, you don't get bored. And even if you get sometimes, videos, you would just short videos, long formats, but the long tail has been able to deliver them greater revenues. So today, when we look at how data is evolving, how video is dominating the time spent, this is an interesting data. Today, watching TV is about 40%. Reading and watching news is about 34%. And social media is about 33%. And what is social media? When you look at it, these are people coming together, putting up their own data and talking to each other, where in many times they do not even physically have ever met or are ever going to meet, yet they are connected in this digital world. And doing nothing and relaxing has come to 19%, listening to music, Apple Music and many others, Spotify, all those products have increased their share to 15%. Streaming TV shows or movies have gone to 14%, digital games have 10%, listening to streaming music is 8%, and watching YouTube or Facebook videos is about 7%. What are we trying to say here? We are trying to say consumption of digital medium is increasing day by day. Where are we really going wrong when we look at such data, especially with the companies that we are in today? companies need to stop focusing just on new technologies. They need to start paying attention to new and emerging customer behavior. This digital world has given all the data, and we will talk about it, how we can compute this data to yourself without engaging research companies. In old times, you used to engage retail audits and many other things. Today, you put up a product, even if you want to test an advertising, you just put it on social media. A lot of people are going to say, liked it, hated it. And what the companies have done is created emojis and that's the customer satisfaction. You can find out a sad face, a happy face, love it, like it, all those things. Those signs compute and become numbers of how many people are really looking at it. So what managers today need to see is not about how and what technology and data we'll use, but how consumers are consuming your own data in this digital medium. All you need to do is get that data from your own screen, which is coming to you, and how you are engaging with these consumers is basically the main important point. There's infatuation with technology, the lack of customer insight. People are launching plans without taking time to understand the networked behavior of their customers. What is driving that behavior? A lot of times we see somebody else's video going up there and we say, wow, let's try and do that. Let's get all those traction. What they are not trying to understand is this the real mix or fit for your product? And what are you trying to get out of that data? Hence, the scope, and you have to have a very clear objective of anything that you are trying to achieve out of that data. So understanding your objective, making an objective, and improving not limiting your scope and vision, being very clear that what I'm going to and how I'm going to use this data that I'm going to get from the digital media. When we look at customer behavior, we talk about how the behavior these consumers are accessing, engaging, then you customize, connect, and collaborate. These 5 points are critical whenever we are looking at the digital data. All your business strategy needs to be developed based on these 5 points. The access strategy is be faster, be easier, be everywhere, be always on. Your customers are online 24/7. You may be sleeping, but that data is being consumed either some part of the world. Some people will be awake all night, will be sleeping in the morning, and some will be waking up early in the morning and getting the data. What is interesting is your whatever you put up on that digital, you must have a strategy that you are able to access that data 24/7. Second thing is you are there, your website is there, your product is there. Are you engaged? And do you have an engagement strategy with your customer? So how do you really engage them? Either there's a helpline. Many websites have helplines. I have an American Express card from an old days when I was in US, I still is active. I wanted to change my phone number because my US number had died. And while I was processing that, a chat popped up. Do you need any help? And this is what we are talking about. I just said, oh, I just need to change my phone number. I was trying to look at that. But they were so active. I was just on the side looking at my bank credit card statements. And there was some chat that, can I help you? And when you say yes, automatically there's some kind of connectivity with a real live person. He said, I'm Robert. How can I help you, Mr. Dred? Whatever, because I'd already logged in the site. He already knows that this is Dred and all of that. And we got engaged. So and then you customize. As you are getting the data, as you are getting that engagement, you customize your strategy and adapt to your customer needs. You should be always connected to them and invite customers to help build your enterprise. Now, how do you invite somebody? Facebook is a great example, YouTube. It's a social network. And what do they really do? They don't put up data. They don't put up those videos. Somebody is putting up their video, building up the site, developing that product. All they are doing is connecting them and monetizing it. Hum Network has one of the largest media presence in the media industry in Pakistan, is also one of the largest in Pakistan, I would say, with about 20 million followers on just Facebook, or 21 million on YouTube, and many other platforms have great access in Instagram and all those things. As soon as the drama is put on a YouTube, for example, the first thing I've noticed, the producers and our team start looking at not how many people have just watched, they start looking at the comments. It's such an interesting feedback. You've put up a drama, people start commenting. Bad drama, good acting, wow. Just a promo comes in, Fawad Khan back, Atif Aslam, what a singer, what a this, coming from India, coming from, and they start getting immediate feedback about what people are saying and how they have to develop a strategy for the new content, what is being consumed, what is not being consumed. And yes, in that feedback, since the person doesn't have to face anybody, they put up a real comment of either it's bad, good, like, and not like. So you immediately get attraction and understanding. And that's what I feel, that on your social media, give them the platform to build themselves. They will continue to keep on helping you give us their feedback. What is interesting is this data doesn't cost you much, or it doesn't cost you anything. However, it gets you what you would be paying to get that data of a consumer feedback, and that also will be not as diverse as this social media and digital world is. These are some of the metrics that I was talking about. You must have your page views, your website has to be there. Website is almost mandatory, but your social media presence on big platform, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, etc. These are important. And what do you see? How many people are viewing your product or your companies? How many people are interested in then how many people are joining your community? How do you engage with them? How much time are they spending on your community? What is the level of interaction? When there are less comments in a drama, we easily understand that people are not that much interested in talking about it. However, there are many times people are within few minutes or within few hours, you'll get thousands of comments. Atif Aslam came first time in Sange Ma, just the drama going on. And just when we put up the trailer, not only our comments were in thousands of numbers, but there were bloggers who picked up that short trailer in India, especially in Indian Punjab area where they were talking about Atif Aslam and they were predicting the story and they were talking about it and what's going to be. When the second teaser came in, they talked about, oh, wow, that means there is another thing. There was a sixth story coming up, so it got popular in that way. And that feedback really kicks in, and this is how you start engaging with them. Many a times you see there's a plot which is not picking up on that side. You would take and redraft your own content. If the sick track has come out good, you would promote more. A recent example I would like to share is our Ramzan comedy play, which was Hum Tum, right? Last year was Chupke Chupke, and this time it was Hum Tum. And while the play was on air, the shooting was going on. And it is pretty common in many US companies where your sitcoms have seasons. And when they are shooting that next season, they have the feedback and they're developing the scripts on the go. We found out in Hum Tum, there was a track which people were more interested in. So the director immediately shot a couple of extra scenes. The best example that happened was Parizad. Parizad last 2 episodes were completely reshot and redone. The ending was not the same as it was written. And the play had become very successful. Numbers were coming good. People were really interested. The director is from Kashmir. So he asked the producer, I want to go to the Neelam Valley. It's going to cost an X million rupees extra to go there and take the entire shoot. And I want to do the last scenes that have been rewritten. The writer was very excited, Nadeem, and he said that I'm going to write some more scenes to extend some more episodes. This is the same writer who wrote Khuda and Mohabbat, Jio's play. And that play was written for 26 episodes by the writer. However, since it became popular, the network extended multiple scenes and took it to 40 episodes. Now, so the writer got very upset, and the serial got a little slow also because you were repeating some of the recaps and extending the story for no reason. However, in this case, they said we will write an extra episode, and everybody wanted us to make a longer serial, but the production said we didn't have the material and we don't want to slow the pace. And if you remember, the last 3 or 4 episodes, we converted the play into a kind of a mission where he talks about Urdu as being taught, and he transforms into a bigger cause and a purpose in life. The character, when your character becomes so big, and if you stay with the same story and don't stay with the people's pulse and the customers, what they're wanting, you would lose out a lot. And hence, when you get engaged with the customer, where do business people come in? What can they do in such cases? And it happened. The producer said, I need an extra few millions to do this extra episodes, and there is going to be cost. We are going to Neelam Valley in Kashmir. And even though you have a set contract, you understand what your customers want. You don't say no to it. You just say, go ahead, and it really paid off. We usually don't do sequels in Hum TV. We never made a Humsafar 2. We always felt a story which is done, but Parizad 2 is coming, so watch out. And it was because of customer demand. This is a scorecard that I want to share, which a lot of financial experts can use, while they are making. It's a simple scorecard based on how you reach your audience, encourage and action, including to lead generation, convert to sale, engage customers to retain growth. And the measures are tracking metrics, say performance drivers, customer KPIs, business value KPIs. I've put all of these. The presentation we will be with all the participants. Khurshid, you can share this. And this is a very easy thing of when you are looking at the tracking matrix, for example, how many unique visitors have you gotten? How many new visitors have you gotten to your thing? What are the visits and what is the conversation volume? So how many comments are you getting? How many people are talking about it? You can put all those in numbers and look at it compared to what other of your either content or your for example, I would say, especially Unilever makes an ad copy for Fair and Lovely ad, or some other product. So they can easily gauge from the interest of the people what sort of comments are they getting. The share of audience, and when you look at the performance drivers in reach audience, share of search, brand, or direct visits, how have they come? Have they come through another website? And all this data is available if you have a good digital guy who would just pick up the data, and all you need to do is analyze this data. You also need to find out if you need to get the clicks, you can push your media by sponsoring and putting on websites. And you can say, what is your cost per click? What are cost per sales, brand awareness, conversion polarity. And again, at the end of the day, business value KPI for reach is audience share, owned media, or share of voice earned media. Coke Studio is a great example when they were building it up. And they realized making content, then just an ad would add a great brand value. What a great success has Coke Studio been. I was part of the first initial conversation with the brand manager, who's a very dear friend and classmate from LUMS. We talked about it, how it will be built. But what a great success to the Pakistani music industry they've done. And their success was not just the TV views that they got, it was the aftermath and basically how engaged it has become on social media, how the youth are using that, and just transformation of Coke brand. I remember when before the Coke Studio, Coke had less than 15% of share, whereas PepsiCo had about 70% of the market share. And today, Coke is definitely by far larger than Pepsi. Just imagine 10 years ago or about such time, Coke was 15% and 70%. And another ex-Coke guy who came back again to Coke, we had a bet, that Coke can never overtake Pepsi in Pakistan. And I was involved in the process, and I just said that it will. And the great thing about Coke was they used the digital media. Their initial transaction, they did not even keep a single penny from digital media. They gave it to the producers and they said, you can just exploit it. Their purpose was not to make money out of that thing. Their purpose was the brand Coke. And I think they achieved it quite successfully. This is a great scorecard. I would urge that you can dig it out from there and use it in your own companies to make out a great KPI-oriented scorecard. So as we know, there's a great consumption of videos. It's TikTok, it's Facebook, it's FaceTime, all of that. Instagram, there is a great consumption of short videos, long videos, all sorts of medium format videos. Every company must act like a media company. You produce, you sponsor, and you curate. Today, no matter if you are in a B2B world or B2C world, what you need to do is produce content, put it on your digital media. You will get the results, and you find out and take that data and find out that once you have those number of visitors, number of page views, time on sites, conversion, sentiments, comments, feedbacks, and organic reach, inorganic reach, how do you get it? It is very important that you take the digital media very seriously. And the more seriously you will take, it is much cheaper data that you will get of your own product, whatever you're doing. I would also say that people in the service industry, which says we don't have a product, they themselves have services where they can put up short videos, either be about, if there are people who are trainers, who are consultants, they must have short videos and they must keep on updating those videos. Their social media interactivity is must. My bhabhi is one of the leading architects in Palo Alto, California. And she is so active on every new design that they have done. And their web page is so active. And if they don't have something of their own, they will put something classic of somebody else, because they want their customers, who are either their new customers, their previous customers, or the customers who are going to be engaged with them. And whenever there will be an opportunity, they know that M Design Architects is there and is producing or are already knowing great things. So interestingly, many times I say, wow, what a house. It's not done by her, but she has picked up a great house and she's not said, I've done it, but she's put it on her website where people can see sometime about classics and all of those. And hence what I'm trying to say here is, you need not be Unilever's or Hum TV. You may be your own, and yet you want to engage with them on video and keep on connecting with your customers through the digital media. Now, this one is a long matrix. No, sorry, this one also. So, inbound marketing, content creation. Now, this is what I was talking about. You have to create content. The more you create content and publish it in whatever field, again, I want to continue, it is not limited to a media company. It is not limited to an architectural company. You can be a financial consultant. You can be a product manufacturer. You have to keep up there and engage with your customers, and people who are going to be either your current customers, your old customers, or your future customers. A great thing about, I was working with McKinsey on a project, and they said, we have never, ever advertised on any Economist magazine or anything else. 99% of all customers that we have today are repeat customers. What is interesting is, and 1% are people like you who have just walked in for the first time, who have heard about us, that McKinsey is a consulting company. You call them up, they take a time, and then they work with you. The quality that they do is definitely great. They are one of the leading consulting company. What is interesting is they continue to engage with every customers of theirs. They will continue to send you their quarterly reports. They will continue to send you with articles that are interesting. And one fine day you'll say, oh, come on, I have to do this new project. I have to go to them and talk to them. So there's this engagement with your customers through the digital media is very important. And it is all about creating content and engaging with them. The other thing is the paid media. You can, if you feel that you are not getting the traction, initially you can start spending some spending some money to use those social media. And you will find out if you are not getting the traction, you need to change your strategies. At the end of the day, it's creating data, and you need to do that data analysis and listen what the social media is telling you. These are your customers, what they are liking. And if they are not liking something, you need to change your strategy and monetize that. This is a very complex diagram I got from one of the things. And I would just share some of the things in it. Search engine optimization. You need to find out where your data is, where your competition data is there, where your data is there, and you have to link them, optimize it by putting the keywords and key links and key connectors with your customers. Your website is critical. Your customer relationship management is critical. Your social media, pay-per-click advertising, and analytics. I've put all of this for you to sit together, look at each and every data point, and it will give you great insights of how you can, with your own product, use all of these platforms and optimize at the end of the day to increase your revenue numbers. Today, the world is changing and the workforce and workplace are getting more and more informal. If I would have come to ICAP maybe 5 years ago, I must have been wearing a tie. Today, I don't have a tie, and many of us, we don't. But more than that, what COVID has changed and today's world has changed is that you can work from home with the same capacity and sometimes at your own time more efficiently and effectively. I was working in US about 10 years ago, I remember, and there was a house that was being designed by my sister-in-law. She took me to this person's home, which was under construction. And she said, this is a room that HP is paying because this is his office space. And they are paying to make it all the facilities that are in the office. And this is going to cost the office less than anything that we than the room that they're making. And it was a high-tech room with high-speed internet and computers and everything else. So just want to say today, workplace and work force is changing. There's informal settings, freelancers are increasing, and most importantly, your data being collected is definitely changing. Data is now being collected through the digital media. You don't need more research agencies for getting you the retail data and etc. I've been told there's a time check, so I'll just try to rush a little bit and move to the last 2 slides, I think. Khurshid also talked about ERP getting obsolete. I would say ERP is still there. and will continue to remain there. However, it does not give you the consumer insight and consumer data. It's more of your internal processes. Hence, management with data will take over with ERV playing the central role. Now the data analytics are more critical, and hence you need to focus more on multiple data points to forecast challenges and opportunities coming from different sites, but continue to engage through the social media, which costs nothing, just an internet that you need and the website with me. My last slide is talking about what the CFOs need to do today. CFOs need to align today's finance talent to promise of the tomorrow's technologies, while still maintaining workforce that can fulfill the company's basic financial and regulatory requirements. Those things that they are doing traditionally, the regulatory requirements, the financial requirements of the company, those are there, but those are become the basics as of the company. Hence, they need to use the data analytics from cloud computing and robotics to analytics, cognitive technologies and blockchain. A new class of digital disruptors is transforming how the work to finance gets done. And this data is actually going to help them predict the future of how numbers are going to come to their companies. CFOs are in the prime position to challenge the way the enterprise looks at the consumers' data. In the area of forecasting, they can champion an innovative data-driven approach that will help people predict the financial future of their business. By modeling the potential impact of important decisions, they can help generate smarter insights and stronger business outcomes. And this is what I feel in my company when I look at my finance or chartered accountants and CFOs. They have started looking more into how we can get this data and how we are going to develop the future business plans. One thing I want to share about our company, an interesting fact. Sometime back, the budgeting was done by usually the finance department with the CEO, and they would make a number. Last year, interestingly, we thought that we will take numbers from every department. So sales will give their number, which is usually how they should. Programming will give their own budget and all those things. So CFO sent this in May to me last year and gave me a budget. And I said, who gave you this budget? He said, I made it myself. I said, okay. So I said, shouldn't the sales team be making their own revenue sales numbers? He said, usually they take a lot of time, so I made it on my own. So, okay, but we started that process. We gave them time and the numbers came. And I had a session because the next year numbers were being done. Sales teams had said to me, last year it was a great exercise. See how accurate we were, just 5% up and down, and we'll be up there. The ex-CFO was also part of the management team, said the CFO numbers are also not too far away. So an informed CFO with a little bit insights on data and numbers can definitely make a great business plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dure. That was an insightful session and information. And definitely finance professionals have to learn a lot how to use the data and how to make the projections down the line, 1 year or 5 years. So we have a token of appreciation for you, Mr. Dure. And to give away, I would like to invite on stage Ms. Khurshid. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Khurshid on stage, Council Member of ICAP. Now I would request Mr. Dure to please step up the stage and receive the token of appreciation. Thank you very much, Ms. Khurshid and Mr. Dure. Ladies and gentlemen, I thought to remind you to please remain updated with all the discussions going on, jitni bhi speeches ho rahi hain, because you will get the chance to win gift hampers, और वो भी ICAP से मिल रहे हो, तो वो chance कभी भी miss नहीं करना चाहिए. So next, coming up next, we have a panel discussion on deliberating on various topics. 7 topics पे discussion होगी. Or at the end of the panel discussion, we will have a question and answer session to ask as many questions from the panel. You can ask also questions from the speakers as well, because वही सिर्फ आपको chance दिया जाएगा, उसके बाद आपसे ही questions होंगे और आपका knowledge ही test होगा. So please be aware of that. This panel discussion is being moderated by Mr. Khwaja Tanveer. He is currently IT lead in United Energy Pakistan with an enriching experience of 26 plus years from organizations like Unilever, Engro, National Foods, and Shan Foods. Tanveer's experience lie in driving and delivering strategic and impactful transformation programs. He excels in utilizing the potential of IT and process re-engineering to execute IT-driven business-led innovations. For 2 consecutive years, 2020 and 21, he was recognized and awarded as Legend for Transformative Technology Leadership, representing Pakistan in Global CIO Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Mr. Tanveer to lead this discussion and introduce his panel. Over to you, Mr. Tanveer.
बहुत शुक्रिया जी, अस्सलाम वालेकुम. So as the topic states, it's more about thriving in an information age, and I think it is very pleasant to know that we use the word thriving and we use the word struggling, or we didn't use the word surviving in information age. And that is something what we can actually witness over here, where we have got the connectivity online in a hybrid fashion with ICAP Karachi, ICAP Islamabad, ICAP Lahore. We have got people. I've got 2 panelists coming in joining us from Canada and 1 from US. And we've got 3 people coming in directly in Karachi in person. Plus there are lots of people. As of now, 82 participants online watching it. So this is something which is an example of what we take how to thrive in an information age. And when we talk of information age, so we automatically think of digitization, we think of transformation, we think of innovation, we think of disruption. All those words are buzzwords. I would like to want to go into those details of those buzzwords, but I think what Dre Saab explained, the impact of those digitization, the impact of that innovation, the impact of that transformation, the impact of that disruptive innovation, where he shows that the 19% of the people who love to relax, and I'm one of them, do nothing, relax. It's something I like to always do. So before I invite my esteemed panelists, and I think we've got 6 lovely thought leaders with us today, and they'll be sharing their impact journey with us today in this forum. And thank you, Amara, again, for reminding all of them that एक टेस्ट भी है, हर इम्तिहान होता है ना, तो that's just a way I think that we need to be very cautious of. So before I invite my esteemed panelists, I would like to say कि 2 ही वक्त गुजरे हैं कठिन मुझ पे बहुत, एक तेरे आने से पहले और तेरे जाने के बाद. So let me invite my panelists. I think the very first of them, Usama Rashid. Please welcome in. Loud of applause. Usama has been elected as a chairman for the Southern Region Committee of ICAP, business leader, technologist, management consultant. He's also the chief executive of B2F Solutions, and he has gotten a broad, enriching experience of 25 years and more. Thank you, Usama, for joining us. Next, I would like to call one of my very old friend. His name is synonymous for, you talk about IT governance, the name comes in your mind. You talk about cyber security, a name comes in your mind. You talk about information security, a name comes to your mind. That's Hussain Hassan Ali. Please join us on the stage. Hussain is currently is general manager and the head of technology audit, and he's at Habib Bank Limited. He's also very well known, and most of the people know him that he's the president of ISACA, the Karachi chapter. He has got various certifications in his name. He has got a whole lot of experience. He's got experience of working at the various organizations before HBL. He has been the CISO, which is the Chief Information Security Officer at the Bank Al Habib. And he has got a Lifetime Achievement Award from InfoSec in 2021 for his immense contribution in the field of information security. That's what I mentioned कि जब आप information security के नाम लेते हैं तो बहुत सारी बुरी बातें दिमागों में आ रही होती हैं तो एक चारा जो निकल के आता है कि नहीं यार इससे पूछ लेते हैं, he will help us out. That is someone who is of Hassan Ali. Thank you, Hassan, for joining us. The next panelist from Karachi is a interesting personality. I met him for this particular purpose. However, we share the same organization. He has been in Unilever earlier. I would like to call Mr. Riaz Chunara to join us on stage. He is currently the managing director for the National Institute of Banking and Finance, which is a subsidiary of State Bank. He's been in State Bank for about 10 years or so. He's been in the industry for about 17 years and has worked in Unilever, in Kenya, in Tanzania, and in many other multinational companies. Thank you, Riaz. Thanks for joining us. We've got three panelists who are joining us remotely. Thanks to the technology, and thank you very much for those people who are joining us. One of them is Farooq Najam. Farooq, you can wave your hand and people can, while they see your name, yeah, thank you very much. Farooq Najam is someone who is known for the data analytics. He's based out of US. He is a data analytics and automation lead at Blue Cross Blue Shield, and he's part of the strategy and the innovation team. He's been engaged with the various organizations, and a very interesting thing is that he did his master's in the data analytics at the University of Texas. So anything that I think if you recall, Khushi touched based upon the data analytics part and the business intelligence part in part of her opening speech, and that is something we're going to learn from the experience of the Farooq today as part of our panelists. Thank you, Farooq, for joining us. We have Shahid Shah with us from Canada, part of Deloitte team, and he's been working. He has got an experience of internal audit for about 12 years. He's been engaged with a reputable bank in the Middle East as well. Lots of experience in terms of the from the audit perspective, internal audit perspective, and as well as from the credit risk management and all the stuff. So thank you, Shahid, for joining us, and we'll be catching up you on a lot of things. Last but not the least, जो मैंने कहा था ना एक तेरे आने से पहले एक तेरे जाने के बाद, so the last one, Zubair Sobhani, he's again joined us from the Canada. He's been he's a person who is known for fusing his business acumen with a financial knowledge. Someone who has been into the business for years, someone who has been into the industry for years, someone who has actually been able to blend the two components, one the financial aspect part and the business part. Generally, business is more about the top line, and we talk about the financial people talking about the bottom line. So there's the one who actually made it possible by combination. So thank you, Zubair Saab. He's also a CEO and for the CEO and the founder for the Think Ventures in Canada. Thank you, Zubair Saab, for joining us.
Thank you.
So now, to start off, I think I'll take the first question with Osama. And during the course of discussion, you will see there are lots of questions which will be actually covering various threads. We'll be talking about the digital trends. We'll be talking about the finance automation. We're talking about the finance elimination. We're talking about the audit transformation. We're talking about the regulations. So those things will be intervened together and will give you a whole lot of powerful insights from these people who are with us as our guest panelists. So Sama, just keeping in view about the disruptive technologies, and what we're talking about, future now is already here. We're talking about future aayega nahi, future is already here. So considering the future now thing is in this particular digital era, what in your views as a CEO, what skills are required by the upcoming talent and the managers that we have, not just in finance community, but in general, but yes, specifically for the finance community?
Thank you very much, Tanveer. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I think such an insightful presentation by Dureid, and before that keynote speech by Khurshid and Asfar. I think I will really struggle to do justice to answer to your question, but let me try to do this. I think the question is really important, and the importance can be gauged from the fact that in recent surveys, it has been said by more than 50% of the finance leaders that their teams need upskilling. So, you can understand that, yes, upskilling is really, really, really required. Now, I'll be answering this question in bits and pieces. I'll start with what are the top skills that are required. And in my view, it has already been talked about a lot. It's data analytics, and coupled with it is creative planning, or you can say creative financial planning. You just talked about that as well. It's not about the regular budget making process. You are seeing the variances, and then you simply just extrapolate that and make a financial plan. You have to have a creative financial plan that will be supported by the data analytics that you're going to perform. And once again, data analytics is also looking into the past, so you have to have your own creativity to look and do the planning into the future. So data analytics and financial planning are two top skills. Going forward, I think finance people can also play a really important role in system acquisition and developments. And how they can do this, they can basically act as project consultants. They can do cost benefit analysis, and they can really help with the migration strategies. So these are, once again, some of the areas where finance professionals can basically add value. Talking about other business functions, apart from finance, I think that's also very important for other business functions, that they also should learn to get finance literacy. And why is this important? Because in order to do better cross collaboration between different business functions and different business processes, if they're able to understand each other's language, then it will definitely bring in advantage for the organization. So it's really important for other business functions to do to acquire finance literacy. Now, among all of this, what is really more important for all the business functions, whether you are in finance, HR, technology, or whatever function you are in, it's really important for you to be closer to the business. And what does that mean? It means that you need to understand business, as you just mentioned. If you're able to understand the business, then you can, of course, add a lot of value and solve a lot of problems. So you need to understand peculiarities of the business, complexities of the business. You need to know opportunities and challenges as well, not just challenges. We always talk about that disruptive technologies are coming and how we can respond to them. Why can't we be disruptive on our own? So this can only happen if you know the business, and you are collaborative, and you have a team which is supporting this. So I'll stop here, considering probably I have limited time to answer this question. I'll give chance to other panelists as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Osama. I think, if I just recap, what you mentioned was finance for non-finance managers is something which is a key element in terms of talent and the technology skills that one need to adopt. System acquisitions, that is another aspect that need to be looked into. And more importantly, what he touched about was the data analytics, something which leads to the BI and then again, it has got now much more variation in terms of technology. And since we're talking about data analytics, so I think we'd like to take a question with Farooq directly. So Farooq, you have been into data analytics as part of your academics, as well as part of your professional tenure, what you have been doing. So can you just let us know that how can the organization transform them into a data literate organization? We are the people who work on the gut feel rather than actually being a data driven. So our decisions are we have the gut feel that comes in, and gut feel has actually dominated a long time for as one of the very strongest decision making strategy. But now with the data in place, how do you place the data literacy? How can a person become a more data brilliant in that aspect? So Farooq, over to you.
Thank you, Tanveer. That's a great question. And obviously, one thing that I want to do before I dive into anything, I don't want to scare accountants, right? And I think we all hear buzzwords, we all hear data analytics. So I want to make sure that we are working on the same frequency. So we need to understand that as accountants, right? Since we start working, we are actually in some way or the other, we are data analysts. Data is something we really rely on. We definitely, as accountants, we don't go with gut. That's numbers are our power. I think what people and organizations will need to do is that to embrace that things are changing. The only thing which we need to do it is understand that we just need to upskill. You're already data analysts, right? You know how to play with data, you know how to play with numbers. What we need to do is just play with it at a faster pace. Do it faster. Do not spend like we traditionally in audit, we spend days on cleansing data, analyzing data. That should not be happening going forward. Because see, data analysis is what? It's basically there are 4 different strategies, 4 different types of data analysis that we do. The first one is descriptive. We already do descriptive analytics. We have historical data, we look into it, we say that these are the sums, these are the averages, these are the things that are happening. Another thing is predictive analytics. This is where we need to upskill, where we say, okay, right, forecasting. We even do forecasting to a certain level, but we need to incorporate statistical analysis. We need to, even if you want to use Excel, go ahead, use it, but use more advanced features in Excel, use predictive analysis to understand. Then there's diagnostic, where you say, okay, why certain things happen. We as accountants also do that in a certain way. What we do not do is prescriptive. I mean, we do it at some level. A lot of organizations must be doing it. And they do it, I'm pretty certain. But what we need to do is to understand that there's something called prescriptive, where you need to use a lot of machine learning. You need to use AI. You need to upskill your staff and be able to say that, see, we looked into descriptive data. This is what we found. This is why we found in diagnostic. Number 1, we need to predict the future using statistical means. Number 3, we need to have a prescriptive. We need to tell what should be done going forward based on what the predictive analysis says. This is where you're going to be adding value. So do not be afraid of taking that leap. And do not be afraid of technology. I mean, we as accountants have always advocated, oh, Excel is amazing and it can do wonders. But now times are changing, because things that we used to do on Excel take a lot longer than the tools we have available now. As an example, since we are talking about auditors, we do a sample testing, right? And we do it because there is a limitation that humanly it was not possible to test 100% of the population. That's why we did sampling. Now we can look at the 100% of the population and test it. So imagine, and this is something that I have seen with audit firms, like imagine if you have a revenue, right? I'll give a very simple example for everybody to be able to understand. 100 million rupees revenue, and we need to test a sample, traditionally speaking. What would we do? Maybe we'll take a 25% sample and we will test on it and we'll say, oh, everything went fine, great, amazing. What data analysis will help you is, it will say that, hey, stop using Excel, go to a data visualization tool, put up those all the transactions, and then you will be able to see the first bucket. You see, okay, so there is 20 million rupees of revenue data, which is very automated, low risk, nothing to worry about, and maybe large volumes, and it's good. It's less risky. You don't have to worry about it. Another bucket of data where you see that, okay, there is a lot of calculations going on, a lot of things that we need to analyze. This way you will be able to cover your risk in a better manner, in a more educated manner, rather than just doing a random sample or just based on a certain filters in Excel. Because Excel, let's face it, Excel cannot afford everything, the number of transactions that we are seeing. That's something that Durraiz Saab said again. The amount of transactions that social media and digital media are going to be creating, it's phenomenal, and we need to be equipped with the right tools to be able to do that. And when you talk about executives, I see like startups. I have been speaking to a lot of people and executives in the startup world, be it retail in Pakistan, and they are using AI. For example, for inventory count, where I remember everybody has gone through that. We used to do stock counts, and it used to be a physical, laborious 2 day, 3 days, 5 days exercise. And now there are things in place, there are technologies in place where you do not need human intervention or very little human intervention, and AI can do wonders. So these kind of things, I think they help a lot. Another simple example is a 3-way match. If you're amazing Excel whiz, what you can do is, so there are tools like Alteryx, there are tools like robotics automation, right? 3-way match, how we used to do it traditionally was we use Excel and we say, okay, we have the PO, we have the invoice, we have the a goods note received, and we go do a three-way match. Imagine you have to do it every twice a year or 4 times a year, depending on your frequency, and you do those VLOOKUPs and do a sample check and you find it. Imagine being able to create a bot, right? An automated procedure. And this is being done. This is not something in the air. Imagine being able to create that, spend 1 hour at one point in time. What that bot is going to do is going to do that three-way match on its own. You do not have to recreate it. And that bot literally does it in like 3 seconds, 5 seconds, depending on the quantum of data, but it's super fast. So what have we done? We have eliminated human intervention there. That's just one time you have to put your brain to it. Every time, every quarter, every half year, you will be able to run that bot and it will automatically go and do it. Number two, you have reduced the amount of errors, like which are possible through a simple VLOOKUP or simple Excel lookups here and there. And you have better accuracy, you have a bigger population being covered, and it's fully automated. Nobody has to do anything. Since we talk about bots, there are so many ways that audit is using bots these days, and I have been seeing how they're being used, and I have created a lot of bots, and bots do not have to be some scary physical pieces of devices or technology. There are simple bots inside your computer. On the click of a button, they just start running. For example, we need to collect, let's say, bank statements, download bank statements from different, for treasury purposes. A bot can be created, which will every morning go there, enter your banking system. Obviously, it's very secure, and download the statements, put it in a folder, and boom, nobody has to spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes every morning doing that. You need foreign currency conversion rates. We used to spend, I believe, 15, 20 minutes or something of that sort on daily or a weekly basis to generate those reports. A bot can do that. And there are hundreds of other examples I can tell you how bots are being used in audit, accounting, and automation.
Thank you, Farooq. And I think rightly said. And another good thing about the bot is that bot never sleeps, and bot never go on sick leave, bot never get tired, and so on. So obviously, but when we talk about the finance community, there's one thing that is very sometimes dire to the heart is the use of Excel. And when as a finance colleagues, we can't live. We love to make ERP out of an Excel. And we've worked in an organization. I see lots of faces here, my old colleagues, and we can remember how the Excel got so much as part of our DNA that sometimes the adoption of the ERPs become a nightmare. And that is something very nicely put up, Farooq. Thank you very much. One more thing before we move on to the next panelist is, I recall ICAP also has some sort of a program in terms of data analytics, and sometimes they have trained some 70, 80 people as well on that. Can you just put up a few words on that? What is that about for the larger audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So see, as part of organizations, we need something that I've termed previously. I like to call it digital emergency. It has to be a top-bottom approach. What in the institute has done is amazing. We have been seeing different sessions being organized, and more recently, I was in Pakistan and I saw some of the sessions being done, and they're phenomenal. How we are bringing in specialists in data analysis, and we have developed a very extremely professional and extremely high-level curriculum, which is very relevant for us as accountants. I believe people need to start their journey. Organizations need to be conscious of the fact that you need to upskill your staff, you need to upskill your people, and there has to be a mass activity over there. Like again, Durraiz said, in 10 years, we will be doing everything with data. So in order to get there, we need a plan, we need a strategy. There's an updated curriculum now for the next session, which is starting on July 15. I believe it will be soon available on ICAP's website, but explore that, look into what kind of skills there are. I mean, some of the skills are basic, you already know, and you can build on that. For example, using Power Query in Excel, using more advanced functions in Excel, using that. And then it talks about Power BI, which is an amazing and extremely powerful tool. Since I mentioned visualization, that's something I use on a daily basis. I can completely advocate for that. And then there's Python, right? A lot of people question, like, why Python, or why do we need to learn a programming language? It comes in when we talk about predictive analytics or prescriptive analytics. You need, and Python is so user friendly. It's not rocket science to learn it. It takes some time. You need to put in time and effort, and you need the right mentorship, but it will help you do wonders. Again, data analytics is a very, very, very vast field. So you will want to decide in which direction you want to pursue. And that particular course could be your starting point, where, at least brush up your basic understanding or basic knowledge and decide if this is something, which direction do you want to move into. Somebody is going to pick up visualization, somebody is going to pick up prescriptive analytics, but eventually, if you want to keep your employees, or even as individuals, if you want to keep yourself abreast with the changes, you need to start somewhere. And I get a lot of LinkedIn messages and contacts, and I really appreciate people exploring that. And they ask me, where should we start? This is where you start, because this is aligned with your institute. You will find 100 courses online, but not everything is accounting and auditing focused. This will have data sets which are accounting focused. This will help you understand the applicability of data using finance.
Thank you, Farooq. And I think very rightly said. We touched base upon the humongous size of data that we're dealing with something that may not be in the coming age will be able to be managed by the Excel themselves. So the data sizes are increasing, data sets are increasing, sample sizing are increasing. So the audits may be transformed now into a way where we may not be needing a sample size. Is rather we can have a much larger, bigger data size and the sample size for the auditing purposes. So we talk about social media responses in the comments, that sentiment analysis need to be done, and the sentiment analysis obviously can't be done with the Excel. So we need those data analytics tools. Thank you, Farooq. We'll come back to you back again. Moving towards the regulations. Yeah, sir. State Bank. We were talking about two different words. Hello. So, the State Bank being a regulator, they've got different responsibility. Any regulator, wherever it be, they have to balance the two different things. One is how they ensure the safeguard of the consumers. At the same time, how they let go of the new innovations that are coming up. And when you talk about State Bank, we have seen all those things that come up as challenges. For example, in case of data residency, it talks about the cloudification. It talks about which data can go cross a border, which data can't go cross a border. It talks about, we're talking about distributed ledgers in blockchains and stuff. And then the State Bank comes and say, no, hold on, no cryptos, nothing like that. So Riyasat, just want to hear your views. Regulators are seen as road blockers. And they may be not, it's a debate, but how can regulators help us adopt these technologies faster? Well, what are your views on that?
That's right. So it's generally regulators are very conservative and they don't want to take, they're not risk takers. They're not very good risk takers.
Everyone can hear Riyasat? Yeah.
So regulators are generally not a good risk taker. So that's one thing which is absolutely right. So I think in State Bank also, that's one of the issues and problems. So if you talk about the banking policy side, which actually makes the policies, whenever you bring a new thing, they are always looking at the negative side of it, that, this can happen, that can happen. But again, I think what State Bank has transformed during this, that we don't want to discourage, and that's what a lot of regulators now are working, that you should not discourage the innovation. You have to encourage these innovations and to form a policy so that, we can work together and it can work in harmony. So now there is a digital financial services group, which has been formed in place instead of a banking policy, where basically all these startups, the fintechs, all the new ideas which comes in, either related to payment or related to electronic money, wallets, those are taken care of. So the objective is basically that, obviously we have to protect the consumer, but a lot of times you don't understand what is going on. Then there are ways to do it. And one of the way, I'll give you an example, is sandboxing. So in which you actually give limited access and you monitor them on a very close level. So like one of the examples I'll give you, that we have a digital onboarding framework, which was actually announced in September 2021. And then a lot of banks actually started digitally onboarding right now. If you look into it, there's a digital Asan account in which people can onboard within seconds. But obviously there are KYC restrictions. But across the board, I think the banks are working on a blockchain technology. And the objective is that there's some 27, 28 KYC basic parameters which are common. So if one of the bank has done it, not all the banks need to do it. So if we work together, make members within that blockchain, and we have defined those things which is agreed by all, so you don't need to do an extensive KYC, and that saves a phenomenal money for onboarding. So besides that, if you look into our digital, the Roshan digital account, that's another example where basically we went international, and this is again, that takes a little bit of time, but there are a lot of technologies which are available to actually vet the individual online, to scan it through different ways, and then to verify the KYCs as well. So I think this is something which has been going on. So the other thing is now we are coming up with digital banks, which is a completely different and a disruptive technology. So if we compare a normal commercial bank, so once we talked about the mobile banking or the branchless banking, in which a lot of microfinance banks, because you see these are the expertise of telcos. Telcos were generally very good in those things. So if you look into it, most of the banks are offering mobile banking, but the top are still EasyPaisa, Telenor, and Jazz Cash, which is Mobilink or Jazz. So the reason is because you see, you have got an infrastructure, you have got a layout, and that's the same thing when we talk about a digital bank. That's what it's going to revolutionize. That it's a bank without a brick and mortar. So if you've got 1,000 branches or 2,000 branches, it's very difficult for you to think that you forget about everything. So a digital bank for which the licenses will be worked out, and we'll be giving 5 digital banks, which will revolutionize the things, and it will change the whole scenario. So I'll just give you a few examples that, Jazz Cash or one of the mobile companies offering credit. They did some credit scoring through a predictive analysis based on certain parameters, which they got it from the e-commerce companies, which they receive it from various sources. They run the predictive analysis, and they said, okay, fine, there is 150,000 rupees for you. Borrow it from us. So that's something which changes the whole thing. And for a lot of small entrepreneurs, this is something very big for them. So I think this is something which can work out. And I'll give you another example of one of the banks which have actually started blockchain in auto car financing. So you make members all the dealers and the financer as well as the organization, so that they can all work together and do that. So that's one of the things. And now like housing finance or various other models, I'll give you one example of commodity exchanging and deals that is done through blockchain, where all the buyers and sellers and the regulators are together working, and they are managing those blockchains. Same case with housing cooperative societies, where they have tied up with the banks. So one of the big thing which is changing is actually the APIs. The APIs, the interfaces are changing, and that's something which we are working on. This open banking framework has already been issued. Now, open banking framework policies and regulations have been worked on. So that's something which will revolutionize the whole thing. So a lot of startups and the fintechs are now getting connected with the banks or with other institutions. So that is making things much more. So they've got a niche market where the banks normally are not interested in, but they are interested in, and they can get connected. Our regulation is coming in, and this is something, it's a win-win situation for all of us. Yeah. So the consumer the financial inclusion is improving. The lending can go up. And I think now the credit scoring model with all these predictive models, which Farooq was talking about, this is something which is a reality now. Yeah. So obviously, we are changing based on the need, and you don't have a choice.
Yeah, I think this is Rasa, what you just mentioned, is more like something is more like a music to the ears, because it's always good to hear that. I think we witnessed that thing during the COVID year, 2020. June 2020 ke baad se, till in 2021 as well, we saw the lots of changes and the innovations coming in from the State Bank in terms of giving the leverage to the various policies, which enables the ecosystem of the entire country. And when we talk of the Jazz Cash, we also don't realize that we are also putting all those wallets are also the banks. Kareem has got my 340 rupees, which is lying there because till the time I use it, it's more like my money in a Kareem bank. Similarly, Food Panda is a bank. So that's something, all those banks coming up in different commodities formats are actually will be able to push State Bank to come up with those policies. I think I very, very rightly mentioned. And yes, KYC, especially in the blockchain distributed ledger, is something which is another example for that. So Riasa, I'll come back to you and I'll move on to Shahid. To Shahid, in terms of the taking it in terms of we again see that while with the pace with which the digital technologies are coming up, we don't see the same level of pace in terms of resources and the talent available, especially within Pakistan. So what are your views on that, especially considering the disruptive technologies that are already in place and which are in demand, and we see a very clear demand crisis in terms of talent for that?
Thank you so much. So definitely great discussion going on, and I'll just be adding up on the stuff that we already discussed. So yeah, at the pace that we're having all the digital transformations and already the World Economic Forum, they call it Industry 4.0, and then as Mr. Riaz was just talking about, so the regulators, they also now have to be more I'd say proactive rather than reactive and adopt regulation 4.0 as well. So in light of that, for sure, finance people like us, so we also need to update our skills, upgrade our skills with things Farooq was just discussing in quite detail, that analytics and all those things. And I can just briefly mention something that I was just reading the other day, an article by Deloitte, where it was mentioned that only in Canada talking right now, so talking about 2015, the gap for people who, so we were talking initially about that, okay, we would always think it of a way that these advancements the digital transformation, they're going to kill the jobs, cut the jobs. But no, on the contrary, it's the other way around. There is a brighter side of the picture. There's another side of the picture, which definitely we would want to appreciate, that many people now, they consider or think that these technological advancements, they will create more jobs than they will eliminate. And it's all because of the humongous amounts of data that are lying there. So we need tools like these analytics, these capabilities, being equipped with AI tools or capabilities of data modeling and all these things. So with these tools and skills, we definitely can be equipping ourselves, and then rather be on the side where we are more equipped for the future jobs rather than being laid out or at the danger of those things. So my point being that in one of that analysis, it was said that probably by 2020, jobs that would be killed by IT, it would be something around 150 million. But then it was predicted that over the next 10 years, almost more than double the size or number of jobs it will be created by IT, all because of these skills. So what we really need to equip ourselves with, we need to equip ourselves with data analytics capabilities, and then these are the only ways that we can make ourselves ready for the future. And I would say from my personal experience, qualifications, let's say CISA, adding it or topping up on CA that I already had. So for sure, it helped me on the job. And then I consider myself always ready for or trying to cope up for the jobs that could turn up in the future. So besides that, even if we want to be auditing tools robotic process automation or AI related, at Deloitte currently, we are using different types of things where we could not even have imagined in the past. For example, we are using bots for all administrative related work that like it would never be possible back in the past. If, for example, all billing related stuff and all the other things like we are doing, so it's only possible like from use of these bots. So I think like
sorry to cut you out. You very rightly mentioned about the operational stuff, but what are your views in terms of the use of disruptive technologies in terms of in the audit profession, like risk assessment, like doing having an enhanced number of sample sets, or in terms of having those things which can actually help the organization to improve their security posture. So what type of technologies do you see in that, and the talent that is required for that?
So talking about like those types of technology, for example, we were just discussing about inventory counts. So back in the days, like we used to physically visit the sites. Now there are like many AI capable things that we could be using, and even further than that, like we have let's say technologies like drones, which are like taking place like in many countries, like in Europe or otherwise like in North America, where drones are being used to take like to do the inventory count. So that is something like from I would say that it could not even have been imagined in the past. Then doing stuff like, let's say, sample-based testing. So now we have like continuous auditing tools where we just deploy those things like within the processes, and talk about risk assessment. So like either it be external audit or internal audit, we always have to do risk assessment, right? So integrated data analytics and tools like some stuff we are using here like at our firm. So for those types of risk assessments, so anti-fraud risk monitoring platform like we are using. So real-time basis, like we'll be monitoring all the data and highlight like all the riskiest elements. Then talking about controls testing, so we use process mining and data mining techniques where we would be just leveraging on those technologies, and then it would take us minutes rather than hours or days, like to find out that, okay, what are the key controls that we need to test. Then talking about substantive or detailed testing. So there are tools like regression analytics techniques where like we could be using all the data modeling of all the huge data available, and then using that data, we would be able to predict or even prescribe like stuff like that could have never been done before, like in a much faster way and needing much lesser resources than that. And then, so yeah, even like adding to the substantive testing or like detailed testing. So there are tools like where we could be using, back in the days, I remember that journal entry testing, we would be doing it manually most of the times. But now we have tools where we can just input the data like for abnormal behaviors and things like that, or large amounts. And then all these things could be tested real-time basis, needing much lesser resources. And then even the reporting and those parts. And about I already discussed or touched base upon that is already part of the thing. So by equipping ourselves like with these IT tools or trainings that, like I would say internationally, like either talk about CISA or whatever, or otherwise like the trainings offered by ICAP, like the relating to IT, cloud computing, cybersecurity, and things like that. So for sure, I think that is the need of the hour, that we equip ourselves and be ready for the future that is already there, rather than waiting for it, and be in the group that is ready to take those new jobs, rather than having the fear of being laid off for whatever those reasons. Because, and I would just like close it with a comment that only from 2017, like there was an analysis done by IBM. So talking about the whole data in the world in 2017, so 90 or even 95% of the data was only created as per them in the last 2 years, which would be 2015 and 2016, as compared to all the data that existed previously in all previous decades or even centuries for that matter. So that was only 2017. Like I would just leave it to your imagination that now from 2017 onwards, and now with COVID, that we have even transformed further with even more updated technologies. Like right now, we are having this hybrid session. I'm sitting at my home in my like office or room at home, and then like we are in all those discussions. And even at workplaces, we have all the hybrid models. Most of the meetings like I would say 80 to 90% at least across North America. So they are taking place remotely. Like we don't know the physical boundaries anymore. And even that sort of adds up to the thing like, and that is the reason that is making it difficult for regulators like Mr. Riaz to take care of those things or address those things, because for sure, as innovators, like they would always be the disruptors and they would be bringing newer and newer technologies, but yet regulators, like they would be on the other side trying to strike a balance between those innovations and like proper social responsibility, I would say.
Thank you, Shahid. I think thank you for the insightful reply. And moving on, changing the gears and moving on to Hussain, and a bit more about the audit transformation that is happening across the globe. There's an analogy being used that normally the audit is more like a rear view and gives you a rear view of the organization. You're looking into the rear mirror, and then you're checking that particular thing, what has happened into the box and what has happened within the organization. The transformation that's happening is that now the business want the auditors to look to the windshield, so they can help you navigate the risk and the various sort of the opportunities coming up in that area. So Hussain, how do you see this transformation coming in for the auditors? It's more like a shift from a rear view mirror to a windshield mirror. How do you see that?
Thank you very much. And that is an amazing question, because, you know, you think of the perspectives. Yes, traditionally auditors have been following, you know, activity, and then they've been auditing in that context. But now that role has already changed, because the auditors are no longer the policemen. You know, they're not following. Did you do something wrong and they'll catch? Now it is more of auditors becoming consultants, becoming a dialogue partner. And this is also something that is encouraged by most of the institutes, the standards, and that is the direction that, you know, of evolution. So auditors have to change their mindset. For that, to enable that mindset to actually materialize, to operationalize, they need to get all these tools. They need to get an understanding of data analytics to be able to use that. They need to be able to do the stuff that, you know, Shahid was talking, and use drones, and you don't get into manual labor at that level. Now there are machines, there are bots that can do that work for you. Now you really need to use your experience, your skills, your understanding of the business, and especially bring into focus the risk. Business understands the context of risk, especially with IT auditors, and even I would say, you know, from my experience of information security, with security professionals, IT professionals, we all get caught up in the jargon, the technical jargon. If we were to just be able to convert that into the language of risk, that is how we can then start looking forward. All right, this is the audit. This is what we found in the audit. This is the status of the controls. No, general controls, IT general controls, application controls. But what does it mean in the context of the direction that the business is taking? What about the plans that the business has? Here are the projects that you are planning to roll out. You know, do you have enough? Are these controls that are there now, as we've assessed them, do these support what you're going to do in the future? And has someone thought about it? Has that been linked up, you know, backwards?
So what I hear is saying is more like is a transformation of a role from a typical police wala mindset,
yes,
into a more of a strategic partner to the business, where they're helping them evolve into the, helping them achieve their business targets.
Absolutely.
And instead of actually after the thing is done, then they're doing the annual report reviews and stuff like that.
Yes.
So it's more like a partnership thing.
And that change has happened in more of the better organizations. You have this sort of requirement, you have this sort of perspective. So auditors, while they may not be actually participating in operations, they would be there, invited to be there as observers, and then to provide, you know, that counsel to management, to the leadership.
Yeah, I think, but Hussain, tell me one thing, like, you know, we talked about technology providing speed and accuracy to the audit process. We talked about greater sample sizes and stuff like that. Do you believe that a time will come when this technology will replace the professional judgment of an auditor that he's earned over the years based on his experience?
So let's look at it.
Just to give you a context, what Shahid mentioned that RPAs and the bots can replace all those tedious things. So can technology, speed and accuracy change the role of auditor? And how will that judgment that auditor makes, that be addressed?
So I pick up another example and come to what you're saying. So, when I came into audit, I joined AKU as an internal audit. And I'm talking of 1992. At that point in time, the first computer that came in over there, we had that XT, put in the floppy, load the program. Then 3.1 came in, and a lot of people were not interested in using it. So they were leaving it and sitting and now that's that same time frame. You remember a lot of typists went out of jobs because computers had started to come in. If those people had upskilled, they would have still remained in jobs. And now you don't have, earlier it was, the first email came in, the director's secretary would print up and give that as a piece of paper to his boss. Now everyone does their own. So it's an evolution. It will happen. I believe, and I very, very strongly believe that the human mindset coming together with the experience, the understanding, the gut feeling that we spoke about, we heard earlier. That is not going to, there's no substitute for that. And that is going to remain. It's about what is that based on, the data. That is where you'll have the algorithms, the bots providing you that data, doing that labor type of work. That is where the machines would be able to do that. Even setting that, even calibrating, even assessing whether those, outcomes, outputs are accurate, are appropriate in the context of the organization and the directions and the decisions that are being taken. That has to be done by somebody who understands it better.
True.
And
true.
has a.
So I think so. So the good news is, yes, there is some time for the auditors to be replaced totally by the bots or the RPAs or the newer technologies. But the bad news is that we need to go into that thing of FOMO, fear of missing out. We are very much tuned into seeing what new messages coming up and popping up on my Twitter account. Rather than we should be more focused on what are the new technologies popping up in Coursera and other areas, and adopting those technologies for my upskilling, so that we don't get wear out or we don't get left out once the change hits us. So thank you, Hassan.
Let me just add
Yes,
one thing.
Please.
I actually believe State Bank as a regulator, State Bank has been a tremendous leader in this regard. We saw very recently the cybersecurity policy for Pakistan came out. It's actually 10 years late because this work had started in 2011. It came out now. NIST, the US framework came out in 2012. So we are very, very late. But State Bank in 2004 itself, they had laid down guidelines for information technology, information security, the talk about, a CISO, about a head of information security.
And the structure.
Yes, all of that came that time. 2017, we had ETGRMF, which is a groundbreaking document providing governance and comprehensive guidance in that regard. Even the guidance on cloud computing that came out. So State Bank has been doing that. The problem and the challenge, I believe, for Pakistan is the other regulators are not connected. Yeah. They're not at that. So I think somebody needs to, and
integrate.
ICAP is the best forum to do that, because you have your alumni and your leaders in all such regulators.
Yeah. Rightly said. And I think these type of sessions also actually help those thoughts to propagate that. Doing good by one particular entity may not help. It has to be a whole ecosystem that need to evolve. We talked about 2012. I still recall in 2012, Huggies, which makes nappies, they were the first one to make a nappy which has a sensor into it. It detects as soon as the nappy gets wet, and then it sends out a Twitter message to the mother or the father to change the nappy. That was 2012. So we're talking about the digitization and automation. Yes, adaptability might have taken along, but that has been done. You can search it out in the Google and you'll find nappies. They call it the nappies that tweets, something like that. So thank you, Sam. Let's see how much time we have, and we can come back to you back again. It's always a pleasure listening to you. I move on to Zubair Saab, and Zubair Saab, we talked about cloudification. We talked about the various digital technologies. At the same time, we see a very strong movement during the COVID days into the usage of the cloud technologies. And we talk about Microsoft Azure, we talk about Rise with SAP, we talk about Oracle Fusion, and so on and so forth. At the same time, we see in the recent days regarding the sanctions coming up on Russia because of the war thing. And that also forces some of the organization to shut down their services in a particular area. So that's like, now the sanctions have become more of a geopolitical, geo-global issue. How do you see the cloudification adaptability as an opportunity or as a challenge, especially for the people and the organization in Pakistan? And what advice would you give them?
So I would say thank you so much for this question. I think, first of all, most of the startups that we see here would not have existed if this cloud computing was not there, right? So this cloud has enabled all of these companies to be agile, and they can grow the business. And because most of these startups do not have money to invest. Even for the big companies, this has created a very good opportunity for them to completely outsource their infrastructure work and the work that is required, and it is scalable and it's flexible and everything. However, like anything, there are challenges as well, right? So like you just mentioned on the geopolitical, we saw it in Russia, but also we have challenges with the latencies. Like now I'm looking at this video, and unfortunately, since we are outside, I can see a sort of gap in the voice and the photo. So the video and the voice is not matching, and that's basically because of the latency that we are seeing there. I'm not sure the people sitting in Pakistan, are they seeing my voice and video at the same time or no, but we are having some difficulty here, right? One other challenge is that I see here is the overall cost. Yes, the initial cost or the upfront cost is practically zero. I mean, in most cases, as a startup, Azure and AWS is giving free services for some time so that people can try it and use it. But when we look at long-term cost, sometimes they are not very cheap, when it just adds up over a period of time, right? To an extent that US is now asking companies to put the cost of cloud services in their financial statement as a disclosure, because this cost is ballooning in a very, very big way, right? So yes, I'm personally a big fan of cloud, because I think what we saw in 2020, the COVID time and other things, and as well as many services that we are coming, particularly when it comes to artificial intelligence and machine learning, some of the things can practically not be done on a in-premise. It's not possible that you put so many computers in your premises that they can do those processing. However, as always, there are challenges. There are some security challenges, even though on-premise there are also security challenges. But we have seen that many of these servers are sometimes penetrated by the hackers, and people lose data and everything, right? So there is both sides of it. I can say that. I would say in 90% of the cases, cloud is the right solution. However, in some cases, particularly when it comes to regulation, because like many countries, the central government does not allow the financial data of individuals to be resided outside. And most of these cloud services can be based anywhere in US or Europe and even in Asia, but maybe developing countries don't have the resident server there. So regulation is an issue. Plus also, if someone have a very consistent level of processing, they don't have spikes and downs where they don't need to have a capacity built up over a very short period of time. In that cases, sometimes in-premise is also cheaper, yeah, even though you have to manage the processors and the technology and everything. But in those cases, sometimes the in-premise solution can be a cheaper solution. But overall, I believe for 90 or 95% of the businesses, cloud is the way to go.
Thank you, Zubair. I think very rightly said. You know, whenever any new disruptive technology comes in, there are always some fears, there are always some challenges and opportunities. But yes, the adoption is the key, and the faster it gets adopted. I recall when you know my nani used to say, "May Allah bless her soul." जब नया नया माइक्रोवेव आया था, she used to say, "Don't put the food in the microwave." Because उसमें से rays निकलती हैं, it will put up the zahar or something into it. But those things are, you know, we have learned we have gone through all those stages, and now we are using microwave and all the stuff for that. Thank you very much, Zubair Saab. And you know, in the interest of time, I think we'll like to open the floor for the questions. We would love to hear from each one of you a lot, but again, the way the discussion went on, it was too difficult to cover all the questions that we have. So the floor is open for the question from the audience, which are on-prem here or on the cloud as well.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shakil. My question is regarding the banking registry. It is being disrupted initially by the emergence of ATMs, now check submission machines, you can say. And in future, with more and more digitization, on 20th June, you already know that HBL went on WhatsApp payment services, being the first bank for Pakistan. So isn't it very fearful or dangerous for the people working in the banking industry that ultimately it will be wiped out, or maybe staff will be reduced with so much digitization?
May I know your name, please?
Shakil.
Shakil, whom are you asking the question? This is for okay. Sam, HBL person or the regulator?
I think we have
HBL
to,
can't say anything in front of a regulator, so over to regulators.
So first of all, let me tell you, you know, these new things are actually making life easier for people. So if you have a mobile phone, you know, the mobile industry actually started long time. There was a car, mobile, then, you know, the big mobiles, and then there are smartphones, and now you have got a lot of things in smartphone. So one of the things is to discourage them. So if you discourage them, then obviously, you know, then, you know, it will still come in. And if you don't compete, then the other countries will have their advantage. So we should not discourage technology. In terms of employment, I can tell you one thing, it's a matter of reskilling. Even in banking jobs, there are a lot of areas where you need to reskill. So a lot of counter staff are now reskilled to other jobs. I'll give you one example. I think this is something which we have been working on is IT security. Cybersecurity is one of the concern. The CISO office or the IT security audits are one of the core issues and challenges. So one of the things is we are trying to reskill the IT people who have got the IT knowledge into a security knowledge, so that they know a little bit more about the infrastructure, how to protect them, how the networks are protected, how the nodes are protected, how the systems are protected, applications are protected. So I think there's something which I think ICAP is also working, and Khurshid is leading that thing, and that is something like there is CISA or the other qualifications, but we want to customize it, make it cheaper for the people available here, and create a qualification which actually ICAP can sponsor, and a lot of countries can do it. So I think these are the things which we need to reskill. So we should not be afraid of it. Like, you know, State Bank is forthcoming. We are not afraid of it. We are saying, okay, let's take on, but let's take in a controlled environment. So if we even lose out, we lose out in a very limited way. I'll just give you one example of Alibaba. Alibaba, Alipay, if you know, it's one of the, it started with the fintech in China. China started encouraging it. But then, you know, with their technology, with all these algorithms which they developed, they were actually predicting, and they started using peer-to-peer lending. They started using scoring, and they started encouraging the people that, okay, fine, you're a very good customer, good rating, giving good service. We offer you this X amount of money because you're doing this type of business. So, you know, it created a problem for financial stability for the central bank there. And then, you know, the regulators started cracking down that, no, I think you have gone beyond what you should go. So I think this is obviously there. Regulators have to work together, but this is something which we should not discourage.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
So I just would like to add here, if you go 3 decades back in the mid 90s, when the computers were coming in the organizations, there was a lot of fear that many jobs will be lost. But in fact, many jobs were created. It's only that new skills will be required. Everyone will be required to, upskill, adjust their skills and, capabilities. And this is not just going to happen in banking. It's going to happen, and there are a lot of scope in many other organizations. If I just talk about, for example, ministries and government departments and organizations, a lot of standard stuff is happening, which is happening manually, which all of it can be automated. If you talk about FBR, a lot of stuff, even notice issuance, that all can be automated, that, can get through a sequence of checks as per law. And if it gets through that, only then a notice gets issued. And then a hearing takes place online through a portal, which is through FBR. So, I think many of the organizations need to adopt technology on a faster scale. And this can be done with public-private partnerships. And that's something which should be done.
And so just to add to that, just one thing. See, the whole objective of going digital in Pakistan, it's not actually just to make it more efficient, or it's about inclusion, financial inclusion. The unbanked, what percentage of the country is unbanked? Think about now people being able to have a bank account and operate just from a mobile instead of having to go to a branch. All of that has been taken away. So it's been made more easier for them. If you look at banks, their number of customers have almost doubled in the last 3 to 4 years. Doubled. And this is millions of customers for the larger banks. If you look at the number of employees, that is going up all the time. No bank is saying that we want to reduce employees. Hiring is going on all the time.
Even the branches are increasing.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned about cybersecurity. So, in 2016, it was expected that there was a gap, a requirement for 1 million cybersecurity professionals. 21, it was 3.5 million.
Yeah.
And 2025, the expectation is estimated requirement is 8 million. Where will we find the people? They'll upskill, reskill, upskill. And that is the thing that we need to do, skills development.
Thank you, Osama, and thank you, Hussain, and thank you, Yasa, for that. So we can take one more question in the line of time. Do we have any online question or? Okay. So I think this is it. If there are any questions, you can always send it online to the ICAP team, and we can be able to respond it back online separately or offline. So with this, we come to the closure of this panel session. My heartfelt thanks to my panelists. Rasa, bahut shukriya aapka, Hussain, Osama. We have got Shahid and Farooq as well, and Zubair Saab from Canada. So, and the entire ICAP team would have made it possible. So thank you very much. Nice meeting you.
Thank you very much for this esteemed panel and such an insightful discussion. We had a few questions here from Lahore and a few questions from Islamabad, and definitely few questions unanswered from Karachi, but because of shortage of time, we could not entertain all questions. So those questions can be put up separately, and that can be addressed online. So ladies and gentlemen, so we have reached that time जिसका हम इंतजार कर रहे थे, एंड आई एम श्योर आपने सारी मोटी मोटी चीजें जो है वो जॉट डाउन कर ली होंगी, ताकि हम गिफ्ट हैम्पर अगर आईकैप से मिल रहे हैं तो we should grab that. So we are commencing our test the knowledge session. Let me brief about this. Here we are going to display. You have to scan this QR code, or you can go online, log in at this address. All you will have to do is to write your email ID and your name and enter, and then question and answers will be started. But before this test starts, let me invite on stage our facilitators from Karachi and Islamabad, who will be there on the stage. And if there is anything that we can, address on local stations, Let me invite on stage Mr. Azhar Ali Kabadia from Karachi. He is a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan, and he has done CIA, CISA, and CRIS. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause to Mr. Azhar Ali Kabadia on stage. From Islamabad, I would like to invite Mr. Anil Peter. He is a chartered accountant having 19 years of international and local experience. He is elected member of Northern Regional Committee of ICAP and serves on the boards of public and non-profit organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause to Mr. Anil Peter on stage. About the test, top 3 winners will be awarded gift hamper. आपने क्विकली क्वेश्चन को आंसर करना है. जितने शॉर्टेस्ट टाइम में आप करेक्ट आंसर देंगे, योर चांसेस टू विन गिफ्ट हैम्पर्स विल इंक्रीज. 50% मार्क्स अगर आपने अचीव किए तो आपको सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ नॉलेज दिया जाएगा. दैट गिफ्ट हैम्पर आपको हम यहीं पे देंगे, बट जो आपका सर्टिफिकेट ऑफ नॉलेज है दैट विल बी एक्सेसिबल ऑनलाइन फॉर 1 वीक. एंड देन अगर आप नहीं जीत पाए, कोशिश कीजिएगा कि जीत जाएं, विन कर लें, 50% मार्क्स आ जाएं. अगर आपको नहीं होते तो फिर भी डोंट लूज योर हार्ट. Still then we will give you a certificate of participation. So I think the time starts now. And
come on,
let's
Islamabad.
start.
Come on, Islamabad. Sir, आ रहा है?
Yes.
स्क्रीन पे आएगा, आपने वहां रिप्लाई करना है.
Yeah.
यहाँ पे आएगा.
And the questions are going to be displayed here when that start, and you can also see on your mobile phones and on your laptops.
अभी स्टार्ट नहीं हुआ. जब
Yes.
स्टार्ट होगा तो you'll have 15 seconds. You'll have 15 seconds to respond to each question when the timer starts. Just be on standby, please.
Just answer that question in 1 second. That is the only way to win.
Sir? No, at the moment, sir. It will launch. Amara, when are we starting or launching?
I hope I actually announced. Mehreen, Azhar, can you confirm, because this is being controlled at Karachi? Azhar, if you are there, please announce when it is going to start.
Yeah, it is just coming. So what you need to do is that.
Here we go.
There we go.
Please start. नहीं सर, मुझे अलाउड नहीं है सर। एक्चुअली हमने डेमो रन किया हुआ है इस पे, तो मुझे आंसर्स नहीं पता। सबके सही बात है, तो वो आंसर फास्टेस्ट इन द फर्स्ट ध्यान रखिए। सर ये कंटेंट में से थे।
So with this digitization quiz, we can see that how ICAP is thriving in this information age.
Screen here is stuck, maybe. We are compiling the results for the winners, and all the participants who are going to get more than 50% marks will be getting the certificate of knowledge, as Amara has mentioned. So ladies and gentlemen, this is up for today. The test session has been completed. While we are compiling the results and show that who are going to be the winners. And thank you very much for the facilitators from Karachi and Islamabad. Now we are moving on to the shield distribution ceremony. Okay. So
So basically,
Azhar is taking up from Karachi.
Yeah, the first one is from Karachi, Mr. Ahmed Hussain. And the rest of the Mr. Shoaib and Mr. Ramzan Khan have given the test online. So they will be given they are required to approach ICAP for the prizes. But Ahmed Hussain can come in for the prize.
I think we have number 1 and number 2 is tie because 2 minutes and 12 out of 14. So I think we have 4 winners. Correct me if I'm wrong, Azhar. So we got.
We are seeing from the microseconds. So the first 3 are the winners.
Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause for the winners. And for Karachi, I think we can do the gift hamper ceremony there. And I would like to invite Ms. Khurshid on stage to give the gift hamper ceremony for our participant from Karachi. Ladies and gentlemen, give a huge round of applause for Mr. Khurshid and the winner. Because of Khurshid, you are getting a gift hamper.
Shoaib and Ramzan, you can approach ICAP for your gifts.
In fact, these gift hampers will reach you within this week, by the end of this week. We have your email ID as well. We also get in touch with you. Thank you so very much. And once again, congratulations to the winners. And for those having 50% plus marks, can we also have those results showing up with us? The names of participants who have secured 50% plus marks. Okay, let the team work on the results. But the meantime, we can proceed with the shield distribution ceremony for our esteemed panelists and moderator. And to do the giveaway, I would now like to invite from Karachi, Mr. Khalid Rahman, our council member, to please come on stage to do the giveaway. Now I would like to invite Mr. Riaz Chunara to come on stage and receive the memento. Thank you, Mr. Riaz. Now I would like to invite Mr. Hussein Hassan Ali to please come on stage and receive the memento. Thank you, Mr. Khalid, for honoring us. Now I would like to invite on stage Ms. Hina Usmani, Council Member ICAP, to do the giveaways to our esteemed panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause for Mr. Hina Usmani. Now I would like to invite Mr. Usama Rashid to please step up the stage and receive the memento. Thank you, Usama. Now, I would like to invite on stage our moderator of the panel discussion, Mr. Khwaja Tanveer, to please step up the stage and receive the memento. Thank you very much, Ms. Hina, for honoring us. Now, I would like to invite on stage Council member Mr. Farooq Rahman to come on stage for the giveaway to our facilitator from Karachi. And I would like to invite Mr. Azhar Kapadia, please step on the stage and receive memento from Mr. Farooq Rahman. Thank you, Mr. Azhar and Farooq. Now from Islamabad, I would like to invite on stage ex-council member, Mr. Abdullah Yusuf, to please come on stage to give away token of appreciation to our facilitator from Islamabad, Anil Peter.
Well, Abdullah Saab has left.
Okay, so can we request Mr. Rashid Saab there? If Rashid Saab is there. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause to Mr. Rashid. He's an ex-council member, ICAP. And past vice president as well. Thank you so very much for gracing our event.
And for Lahore, may I request council member Zishan Ijaz to please come on the stage and give the shield away to Amara Gondal for conducting the whole session from Lahore.
And Maqbool Saab as well.
And Maqbool Saab as well.
Thank you very much for the wonderful audience. और एक बहुत huge round of applause for a wonderful audience here in Lahore, Karachi, Islamabad, and those joining us on Zoom. So finally, we have reached the end of the program. And don't worry, dinner में और उसमें बहुत कम time रह गया और जो Zoom पे हैं, they can also enjoy dinner at their respective homes. To close the program, I would like to invite on stage our council member, Mr. Farooq Rahman, for the closing remarks from Karachi. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge round of applause to Mr. Farooq Rahman.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. We have a fantastic event today. We had quality discussion, बहुत ही impressive सारा panel discussion हुआ. Asfar Ehsan शुरू में मैं सुन रहा था, and he talked about the importance of the information technology, उसकी skill development in the country. He also mentioned about the importance of education and those who are not in school. Really excellent contribution. So thank you, Asfar, for coming here and presenting your thoughts. Then we have a presentation from Duraid, and he talked about the importance of digital media and the involvement of the data analytics in media. He presented a number of KPIs. Data analytics is a field. I think Farooq Najam also mentioned about the importance of data analytics. I think this is one area where we all as professionals have to spend more time. We need to understand the skill set, and we need to upskill our knowledge in this particular area as well. Then we have some real good discussion. Zain, आपका बहुत शुक्रिया coming here. रियाज ने blockchain technology, state bank का role, जो regulations हैं उनके बारे में बात की. Again, very effective and important. ख्वाजा तनवीर, आपने तो बहुत ज़बरदस्त moderate किया है. Thank you very much for coming here. हमारे जिन लोगों ने इसको ऑर्गेनाइज किया है, खुर्शीद, फैंटास्टिक, वंडरफुल, एज ऑलवेज. Tahir, I think from our Marcom, Faraz from Marcom, the other team members from Marcom, thank you very much for making this a successful event. Umair and team, again, Umair supporting Digital Accounting Board. आप उसको भी रन कर रहे हैं. हमारा जो डेटा एनालिटिक्स का प्रोग्राम है, आई होप के जो लोग हैं वो उसको उसमें पार्टिसिपेट करेंगे, हमारे मेंबर्स, so that they can upskill themselves. From the Institute Forum, let me say a few things. इस पूरे एरिया ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी के अंदर डिजिटल अकाउंटिंग एंड ऑडिटिंग स्टैंडर्ड बोर्ड इज द फोरम वेयर newer technologies, latest technologies, उस पे फोकस है. और ये फोरम जो है वो आपने देखा, ये इवेंट आया, इससे पहले भी कुछ और इवेंट भी पास्ट में होते रहे हैं. स्ट्रेटजी में क्लियर है कि जो डेटा एनालिटिक्स रिलेटेड सर्टिफिकेशन है वो हमने इंट्रोड्यूस की है. देन वी हैव रियाज ने थोड़ा जिक्र किया कि इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम ऑडिट से रिलेटेड पोस्ट क्वालिफिकेशन रोल है, उसको कंसिडर किया जा रहा है. एज पार्ट ऑफ आवर करिकुलम सीए क्वालिफिकेशन के अंदर जो न्यू स्कीम है उसके अंदर देयर इज नाउ हैंड्स ऑन कोर्स व्हिच इज पार्ट ऑफ द क्वालिफिकेशन व्हिच इज मैंडेटरी. सो वन ऑफ द कोर्स आइदर इन द फिनटेक और डेटा एनालिटिक्स हमें उसका कोर्स करना है, उसकी एग्जामिनेशन है, दैट ICAP will take. So institute is alive to these development and we are responding. I hope कि आपने आज जितनी डिस्कशन हुई, जो presentations हुई, you have enjoyed as well as learned. So many thanks for attending, coming here and be part of the seminar. Thank you.
Lahore, Karachi, Islamabad, and those who have joined from Zoom. Now we have reached the end of the program, and now we will be proceeding for the dinner. Thank you very much.